It is 3 a.m. Your body is exhausted. Your muscles are heavy. You should have been asleep 4 hours ago, but you aren't asleep. You are staring at the ceiling, and your mind is running a marathon. You are replaying a conversation from 3 years ago. You are calculating the probability of a recession. You are wondering if you locked the back door, and simultaneously thinking about the heat death of the universe. People tell you to just relax. They tell you to turn your brain off, but you can't. And because you can't, you assume something is wrong with you. You assume you are broken, anxious, or neurotic. But what if I told you that you have been misdiagnosed? What if the anxiety, the overthinking, and the social awkwardness aren't signs of a broken mind? What if they are actually the exhaust fumes of a high-performance engine? There is a concept in psychology called the hyper-brain, hyper-body theory. It suggests that high intelligence and high sensitivity often come with a heavy price tag. Today, we are going to look at the 7 specific burdens that plague people with high-functioning minds. If you have ever felt like an alien on your own planet, you are about to find out why. To understand why your brain feels like a torture device, we first have to understand the hardware. High-performance brains are characterized by something called low-latent inhibition. In a normal brain, the mind filters out garbage data. If a fan is buzzing in the background, a normal brain ignores it. But in a high-performance brain, the filter is wide open. You hear the fan. You see the flickering light. You notice the micro-expression on your friend's face that says they are lying. You are taking in 10 times more data than the average person, and processing that data takes energy. This leads us to the first burden, the curse of prediction. We usually think of anxiety as a weakness, but structurally, anxiety is just pattern recognition on overdrive. If you have a high IQ, your brain is a simulation machine. You are constantly running Monte Carlo simulations of the future. You see the 10 ways a situation can go wrong before most people have even realized there is a situation. You aren't scared. You are just statistically accurate. But to the outside world, this looks like pessimism. Burden number 2, the default mode network loop. The default mode network, or DMN, is the part of your brain that activates when you aren't doing a specific task. For most people, the DMN is a gentle daydream. For you, the DMN is a courtroom. Because your processing speed is so high, when you lay down to sleep, your brain doesn't shut off. It switches to screensaver mode, which, for you, is a high-definition review of every mistake you have ever made. Burden number 3, the uncanny valley of socializing. Have you ever felt like you are manually operating a robot when you talk to people? This is because you are analyzing the interaction while you are in it. You are watching yourself talk. You are calibrating your tone. You are wondering if you are making enough eye contact. This is called high self-monitoring. While other people are just flowing, you are calculating. This allows you to be incredibly charming when you need to be, but it is exhausting. It is why you can be the life of the party for 2 hours and then need to sit in a dark room for 2 days to recover. Burden number 4, paralysis by analysis. The more variables you can see, the harder it is to make a decision. Ignorance is bliss because ignorance is simple. If you only see one option, you take it. But a high-performance brain sees 20 options. It sees the opportunity cost of every choice. This leads to decision fatigue. You end up stuck, not because you are lazy, but because you are buffering. Burden number 5, the imposter syndrome paradox. This is also known as the Dunning-Kruger effect, but in reverse. Incompetent people lack the intelligence to know they are incompetent, so they are confident. High-performance people are smart enough to know how much they don't know. You are painfully aware of the gaps in your knowledge. So, no matter how successful you become, you always feel like a fraud who is about to be exposed. Burden number 6, emotional amplification. Polish psychologist Kazimierz Dabrowski identified something called overexcitabilities. He found that gifted individuals don't just think deeper, they feel deeper. A sad movie doesn't just make you sad, it ruins your whole week. A rude comment doesn't just annoy you, it feels like a physical blow. Your emotional receiver is tuned to a higher frequency. Burden number 7, existential depression. This is the heavy one. When you can see the patterns of the world clearly, you can't ignore the tragedies. You see the flaws in the system. You see the inevitable ends of things. Ernest Hemingway wrote, "Happiness in intelligent people is the rarest thing I know." It is hard to be happy when you are painfully aware of reality. When you look at these 7 burdens, it is easy to conclude that you are defective. But let me offer you a different perspective. Imagine a Formula One race car. It is a masterpiece of engineering. It has an engine capable of 15,000 RPM. It has aerodynamic wings that generate massive downforce. It is designed for one thing: speed. Now, imagine taking that Formula One car and driving it through a school zone at 15 miles per hour. What happens? The engine overheats because it isn't getting enough air. The clutch burns out because it isn't designed for stop-and-go driving. The tires lose their grip because they are too cold. The car is miserable. It is jerking, stalling, and making terrible noises. If you were a mechanic looking at that car in the school zone, you might say, "This car is broken. It can't even drive in a straight line at low speed. It's too sensitive. It's too high maintenance." But the car isn't broken. The car is simply out of context. A high-performance brain operating in a low-stakes, repetitive, mundane environment will always malfunction. Your anxiety isn't a bug. It's your engine revving in neutral. Your overthinking isn't a flaw. It's a supercomputer trying to run solitaire. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need to swap your engine for a Toyota Corolla just so you can fit in with traffic. You need to find a track where you can actually drive. So, how do we stop the overheating? How do we live with a Ferrari engine in a school zone world? Here are 3 psychological protocols to manage the burdens of a high-performance brain. Step 1. Cognitive offloading. Your RAM is full. That is why you have insomnia and anxiety. You are trying to hold too many tabs open in your browser. You must build an external hard drive. This is not just journaling. This is data management. Every night you need to perform a core dump. Take a piece of paper and write down every open loop, every worry, and every unfinished task. Do not write, "I feel sad." Write, "Project X is unfinished and I am worried about the deadline." By writing it down, you signal to your brain, "This data is safe. You can stop processing it." You will be shocked at how much quieter the room gets when you offload the data. Step 2. Intellectual high-intensity interval training. Remember the race car? It needs to go fast to cool down. If you are bored, you become destructive. A high-performance brain needs a difficult problem to solve. If you don't give it a problem, it will create one, usually by worrying about your life. You need to schedule deep work sessions where you tackle something incredibly difficult. Learn a language, code a complex program, study astrophysics. You need to exhaust the engine. When you give your brain a challenge worthy of its processing power, the anxiety vanishes. You enter the flow state. Don't try to relax, try to focus. Intensity is your form of relaxation. Step 3. The sensory gating protocol. Because you have low latent inhibition, you are prone to sensory burnout. You cannot filter the world like others do. You must manually create the filter. This means you need non-negotiable periods of zero input. No podcasts, no music, no scrolling, no talking. Most people use distraction to relax. You need deprivation to relax. Sit in a dark room for 15 minutes. Wear noise-canceling headphones with no music playing. You need to let your dopamine receptors reset. You need to let the engine cool down. Treat your environment like a laboratory. Control the variables, or the variables will control you. Let's go back to that 3 a.m. stare. The next time you find yourself awake, analyzing the world while everyone else is sleeping, try not to hate yourself for it. That voice in your head that won't shut up, that is the same voice that writes symphonies. That is the same voice that builds rockets. That is the same voice that solves problems no one else can see. The burden is heavy, yes, But the burden is the price of admission for the gift. You are not broken. You are just a high-performance machine living in a low-resolution world. So stop trying to slow down. Find a track where you can go fast. I want to know, which of the 7 burdens do you feel the most? Is it the insomnia, the imposter syndrome, or the existential dread? Tell me your story in the comments below. It helps to know there are other race cars out there in the traffic. If this video helped you understand your own mind, hit the like button so we can find more people like us. Thanks for watching.